for reading stuff. I can't read.
Hey legends, welcome to the Pot Noodle. I'm your host Jared, and joining me at the moment is Ian. Willie might be here with us shortly, not 100% certain, but yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. And how are you going, Ian?
I'm good. Well, I'm good. Apart from the result at the weekend, the wheels looking like they're pretty much off now.
And that's why I didn't even plan a run sheet, because I just thought tonight's pod, it's going to be talk a bit about the game, talk about the situation when we're in, and then we'll just freewheel it the rest of the pod. So if there's any topics you want us to talk about, chuck them in the comments. If there's any, let us know your thoughts on the situation we're in now going into the, last 7 games of the season. Yeah, I look at it this way and go, as you said, Ian, the wheels falling off. Is the bubble burst? Well, the Hibs bubble's still going along strongly for them. Like, it's going to be a hard one to figure out what you want to do going forward. So, yeah, it's Robert Gibson, 100%, mate. I feel the same way. Delirious with delight up at, I call that stupid o'clock because I can't read your comment properly at this point in the pod to watch that sort of pish. So, yeah, we'll just go into the game. So, obviously, us against Dundee United. Starting lineup, the first thing was they put the picture out, and Jared in our group chat was like, who's that bloke? So Iheanacho comes in from the middle of nowhere to the starting lineup. So you've got Sinisalo in goals, Donovan, Arthur, Scales, Tierney, McGregor, Hatate, Nigrin, middle, Young Mater, and Iheanacho up front. So Ian, what was your thoughts when you saw that lineup?
Are people injured? Where was Araujo? And then consequently we hear on the rumour mill that maybe he's played his last game for Celtic and he's been sent back home or back down to Bournemouth, which is if that's the case, nothing surprises me at all. But it's like, right, so you're trying to win the title like with a hand over your eye, hopping on one leg, with like people giving you Chinese burns and like burning cigarettes on your bare arse. Now you've got to do it without some of your best players that we've loaned in. So, what do you say?
I think Stephen McGonagall's got it properly here. One word, shambles. And that's what it is, because the way we played, I thought there was a couple of patches there, but Dundee United, not going to take anything away from them. They deserved that win, 100%. That pitch was drier than a dead dingo's donga. There's one for the Aussies for you. Was, I don't know, I almost named the episode Baywatch. But then I thought, hang on, is it Tayside in Dundee? Is that what it is, Ian?
Tayside, yeah.
I was going to call it Taywatch, but then I thought, I don't want to get it wrong and then have an absolute butchered podcast episode title. But yeah, as Stephen's saying in the comments here, Kelmac blames the pitch. Average players cost us. And it wasn't just, it's not the pitch. You can't blame it because both teams have got a plan it. It was absolute rubbish. But I saw a tweet, I can't remember who it was, but they said Martin O'Neill and the team rock up at Ibrox on one of the better pitches in the league and start playing hoofball, and then they go to this, sandy pitch up at Tannadice, and then they try to play tiki-taka. Like, what are we doing? Made no sense at all to me the way we tried to play. And yeah, I just think I'm at the point now where mathematically it's still doable for us to win the league, but the longest winning streak we've had all season is 5 games. We've got to win all 7 remaining.
Yeah.
For it to happen. That's the only way we can win the league. And yeah, I just can't see this team, this bunch of players who have a pretty soft underbelly. And, yeah, it's going to be awkward. And McLaughlin in the comments, so we need 7 wins in a row and Rangers to beat Hearts now. There you go. So, yeah, it's just one of those situations, Ian. I just don't think it's going to happen. I look at it and go, what you were saying about those players, like, who weren't there, like Arahau. If the rumours are true, the board aren't happy with the carry-on, like post-Derby. He's got a bit of ticker. He gets out there. He's a cold hero for us because he gets out there and he doesn't give a shit, basically. He just goes hardcore and gets stuck in, right? And then you get Big Canberra, same deal. And then those two out of the club, you got Arahau swinging on some pole, Canberra holding up some message saying, like, F Rangers and all this sort of stuff on the phone. And neither of them have been cited in the first team since that happened. Makes you think, what's going on behind the scenes? Because if our board and our club are saying, oh, it's embarrassing, we can't have our players doing that, they're even more out of touch than I thought. Stay out of the football decisions. Let the football people run it. Were they out there, Raskin doing his thing, driving without a license? Were they out there, Morelos doing his thing back in the day? What those guys were doing with their driving stuff is a lot worse than these guys, putting some naughty words on a phone at a nightclub and swinging off a crossbar. It's just, so the club's got a soft underbelly. It's not just the team, it's the board as well. If they're not up for the fight and if they don't want those people at the club, then doors that way for a lot of years.
They're not off the fight, are they? Because if they were, they'd be. If you're a fan, you'd be, and you've got the power to go out and buy better players. To buy a striker, I mean, if we had even a quarter decent striker, not even a half decent striker, who could get the odd goal rather than like the no goals or hardly any goals, we'd be in with a fighting chance. But this is a board who claim to be fans, sitting with nearly 100 million in the bank, and they've gone out and signed loan players. We could have gone and got Massimo Inisi, a proven goal. I mean, I don't know if Motherwell would have sold him, so perhaps we did try. I don't know, but players that are in the league who are scoring goals, we could have gone and done that and probably won the title. We don't deserve to win the title, and I said it on last week's pod. It would grate on me massively the fact that if we did win the league, you can imagine them saying, well, what are you worried about? We've won the league. It's another notch on the bedpost for us. And they'd go out and spend their bonuses, their healthy, lovely bonuses, big fat bonuses they get, going out to buy, treat the missus, take them out for a swanky meal and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you need to earn that kind of stuff, surely. And it's the fans' money again. They're a parasitic leadership group. It's a style and it's a parasitic, they're feasting, they're living off others. And they're not contributing. They're not doing a fair day's or a fair amount of work or effort for how they're being remunerated. This is all self-inflicted, not self-inflicted by the fans, self-inflicted by a board who are not fit for purpose. How they got the jobs, it's beyond me. Do you think, there's a question I'd posed to you, do you remember when Peter Lawwell, when Arsenal tried to headhunt Peter Lawwell years ago? Can you imagine any other football club in the universe trying to headhunt Mackay or Nicholson? I wouldn't even trust them to make me a cup of tea.
I'm having to think. There's probably only one other club that I could think of that could potentially do that.
Who are you thinking of, nearest and dearest?
No. I'm thinking the English version of a club that is absolutely the arse has fallen out of as well, called Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh, Tottenham, right.
Their board and the way they run is just as absolutely treasonous to the fans as it is to us. And I don't like Tottenham as a club at all, right? Don't like them. But looking at it, yeah, you're spot on, Ian. Like how these guys got the jobs on the board. I don't even like the fact that it's called a job for these guys.
Yeah.
If you're on the board, if they're doing their job right, we shouldn't even know who's on the board. Let's be honest. That's football. If you asked me 3 years ago, when Ange was at the club, 4 years ago, who was on the board, I would have been able to name probably two of them. That's it. So that's what I find ridiculous. If they're doing their job properly, you don't know who the majority are. Things run, and you don't worry about the board because they're just the custodians of the club. And what I mean by custodians are the fans are the club. It's not the stadium. It's not the players. It's not the board. It's not the shareholders. Without the fans, you don't have any of that because you're not going to build a stadium. You're not going to build a stadium and not be able to fill it if there's no fans, right?
Yeah.
So, football without the fans is nothing. That's a pretty famous quote at the club, isn't it?
Yeah, and spot on.
And that's the way I look at it. So if you're on the board, you're not there for a paycheck and a jolly, like you're saying, going out for dinners and stuff. You should be there to do a job. If it's grow the tech side of it, grow the recruitment side of it, fix your academy, keep your stadium up to scratch, and invest in the players on the park, right? And we're a very generous fan base. I'm being completely honest. We are a very, very generous fan base. For a country of, like 5 million in Scotland?
Yeah.
There's more people in the state I live in Australia over here than there are in the whole of Scotland. So that's something that I look at. So for a club the size of Celtic, with its global support base, we buy shirts, we buy merch, we go to games, our fans travel here, there and everywhere. We pay through the roof because opposition teams price gouge us when we come to town, particularly in Scotland. Our fans are very generous with their money. So that 70-something million pounds sitting in the bank, they may go, oh, this is money that we won in the Champions League. Yeah, but you only got that money in to start with because the fans founded the club. The fans support the club. The fans buy kits. And we are investing constantly. So I'm looking at this squad at the moment going, there's probably 15 players minimum that need to move on.
Yeah.
We need a director of scouting. We need a director of football, head of scouting, a couple of refreshing the scout department. The youth academy needs upgrading. The stadium needs being done up. I'm just rattling off a bunch of things here, Ian.
Mm-hmm.
And then we need to get a new manager, a new coaching team. And then we need to replace those players that I just mentioned that need to be moving on. So if you're going to get all that money from all of us coming into the club and just stockpile it, sit it there for a rainy day fund, and then deliberately downsize like they've done this season, let players like Kun go, let guys like Ida go and don't replace them, let Kyogo go and don't replace him for 12 months minimum. You reap what you sow as far as the board are concerned. I've been saying that on this pod for ages. There's a lot of stuff back at house that we need to improve. And unfortunately, it sucks to be in this situation because this is so reminding me of the COVID season. There was so much going wrong in that season, and we said it on the pod, and I hated doing it, but we've got to address the elephant in the room, and this is a situation we're in.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's same people that are on the board that were on the board in the COVID season, and it's entitlement. They're always looking backwards. These people always looking backwards. Look what we've done. And I watched a podcast a couple of months ago maybe, and it was Sammy Lee. I don't know if you remember that. A little bit older than you. The great Liverpool sides of the sort of 80s. And Sammy Lee was, the little sort of dogged midfielder, sort of the earlier part of the 80s. And he said at Liverpool the philosophy was that everyone always says that the saying goes that you're always only as good as your last game. And he said at Liverpool the same was you're only as good as your next game. Looking forward, our board, look at what we've won, look at what we've done. You're spoilt, you're entitled. The reason that we have spectacularly fallen backwards, regressed, all any word you care to mention that means that we're not progressive and not going forward, is the hoobery from this board. They are so out of touch They are patently not in it for the greater good of the club. If you're a custodian of a football club or any institution, you're there for a finite period of time. Surely, what you want to leave is a legacy. During my time, we achieved this, this, and this. This is what we set out to do. And this is what we achieved. And then we handed it over to these people, and then they took it on. That this is what they achieved. But in order to achieve stuff, you've got to have a plan. And it doesn't look like we've had a plan. It looks like we've kind of like just been under 12 karate champions like 25 years in a row. You know, the odds are stacked in our favour, a lot of it. And if we look to the last time we had to win, I think it was 8 games in a row, was under Strachan in 2006-07. And I think we lost to Motherwell, and we had like 8 more games to go, and it looked like, you know, the fans were sort of turning against Strachan a little bit. And he went on and he won every game. And we beat Rangers 2 head-to-heads in quick succession. But in that team, we had Hesselink, we had Hartley and Robson, who we signed locally from our team. We had Aidan McGeady. We had some really class players. Scott Brown, I think, we'd signed, and he was on the bench. You know, he was sort of up and coming. And we had a much higher quality and calibre of player than we do now. It's a shambles, and the fact that we went out and we weakened the team by not signing players. I mean, thank God we didn't sign in Vuka, but we went out and got loanees. Now Trinchvara and Arahu, they look like they care and they meant it, and they've got a bit of passion. But the rest, you know, they're just players coming for a payday and to try and maybe get into the World Cup or whatever it may be. But they're not invested in Celtic. The board are they are, what can I say really? They're culpable for tarnishing the good name of Celtic. They have, you know, we've lost the race in a 1-horse race. You know, allowing Hearts, we've fallen so far back that we've made Hearts look good. Rangers were dead and buried, and we've let them back into it. So I don't know what to say really. Martin O'Neill, and another thing I was going to say as well actually is Martin O'Neill's. If the stories are to believed, Martin O'Neill's also was unhappy with Araujo and Trinchvara, and that's why they've been chased away. So I can't imagine Martin O'Neill would have done that, because what he did say when he first came in was his job was to win football matches. Now, some misdemeanours after a night out, right? Get a slap on the wrist, get a bit of a bollocking, but you're not going to get rid of certainly one of your best players. And if that's come from the board and he's acted upon that, or he's agreed with it, because the board, he's just a stooge, and I love the guy, but you know, if that's the case, then that can't be argued with.
The thing on that, Ian, is like, I don't want Martin tarnishing his legacy, but the way I see things at the moment, like, he's still St. Martin for me. He's still just an absolute star for us, but I think he's in between a rock and a hard place here. Does he bow down, bend the knee to the Desmonds and that thing there, or does he, you know, look himself in the mirror? It's going to be interesting to see him out on the circuit once this is all over and done with, whether it's like with Paul John on an Axom live day, or whether it's on the radio with Simon Jordan or whatever, talking about his time at Celtic and what actually went on in a year or two. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, to listen to all that.
If you're going to fail, mate, fail on your own terms. Don't fail when you're down on bended knee, because that makes you look bad. And it's like, well, you know what? I wouldn't have done. If it was my choice, I wouldn't have done it the right way. There's no excuses. You're in the chair. You push back. We all, you know, in jobs and stuff, you have to manage upwards as well in your jobs. Sometimes, you know, and you push back on your superiors. And I think it might have said an Axom recently. Dermot Desmond, I think, has got Teflon coated skin. He's not going to go and cry into his beer if Martin O'Neill pushes back on him. That's part of his job, is to do that. But I imagine it probably wasn't Dermot Desmond. I imagine it was the other two guys. But again, I don't know. It's only rumour and conjecture. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But it just nothing would surprise me with these clowns.
Yep. So I'll just go through some comments here and we'll go from there. So yeah, we've got here, Big Dom is saying, do we really deserve to win the title? As far as I'm concerned, no. I was looking at the table, which I'll just get up on my phone for a second. But this is the thing I find embarrassing looking at it, is the loss column for us.
I know.
Like if you have a look, Hearts have lost 5 games. So they're 20 wins, 6 draws, 5 losses. Rangers 17 wins, 12 draws, 2 losses. Us 19 wins, 4 draws, 8 losses. Now if you scan through the rest of the top 6, Motherwell's lost 5 games, Hibs have lost 7 games. Falkirk has lost 12. They have 12 wins, 7 draws, 12 losses. So we have had the 5th most losses of the top 6 teams.
With nearly 100 million in the bank, nearly 100 million in the bank, and it could have been more if we'd qualified for the Champions League. Absolute clowns.
And you look at it and go, look at the players we got on the pitch too compared to what Falkirk's got. So if you scroll down further, you've got the rest of the way. Killy and St Mirren have both lost 16, so twice as many as us. Dundee has lost 15. Dundee United has lost 10. So Livingston in last has 10 more losses than us for the season. There you go. It's embarrassing. Like I know we talk about being entitled, but I'm not looking at it going, we're Celtic, we should be winning. We should not be losing these games. I'm looking at it from purely a perspective of the size of our club compared to the size of the teams we're playing. In the league we're playing in, we should be able to do better. The fact that we have...
Go on, mate. No, I was going to say, right, sorry, I thought you'd finished there, sorry, mate, but just while it's in my mind, and I wanted to bring it up anyway, which is another elephant in the room, is why the fuck are we not changing formation? Especially at home. Why are we not playing 2 up front? The 4-3-3 is not working. You know, it wasn't working towards the end of Brendan Rodgers' tenure. And, you know, it was kind of a shot in the arm when Martin came back the first time. But against Dundee United, you know, and like you said, you know, was like just play ugly, turn into Wimbledon, circa 1987. You know, Watford of the early 80s, go fucking long ball and get 2 battering rams up front and cause absolute mayhem. It's the only way we're going to try and sort of claw our way back into this title race, because knocking it around and trying to play football against all the teams that are set up to nullify that, because they know how we're going to set up, it's just not going to work. So 2 up front and get amongst it and start, you know, just going a bit long and a bit dirty.
I'll go even more old school for you. 4-4-2. And with the 4-4-2, Ian, I want a diamond midfield, because we don't have we're not getting much on the wing. So have a couple of guys in there, like a 6, 2 8s and a 10. Nico can play in the 10 off the 2 big strikers, and we've got 3 strikers to rotate through them. I actually reckon Kanchvara, Iheanacho together would work. But I even reckon Adamu would give us a shout in a 2.
Yeah.
Because he's got that mobility about him out there. So if you've got those 3 playing 2 up front, and then you can also chuck Dazen in there whenever you need him too, there you go. You've got 4 striking options. You're good as gold. Like, our best striker so far this season is Johnny Kenny with 4, and he's not at the club at the moment.
I know. It just seems that we're out of ideas, and I don't know how much it's down to Martin, or whether it's the coaching, you know, whether it's Sean Maloney and Fozzie who are advising Martin, you know, these guys are at it in training, and this is what we should do. But the time has come now. It's shit or bust. What's the point of not trying it? You know,
it's shit, get off the pot, Ian. That's my favourite saying. We've got to go for it.
Yeah, and it's now it's like, you know, pretty football. Fuck that. It's just get in amongst it and win by any means possible. As Martin said when he first came in, the thing he's there to do is win football matches. So you're not going to win football matches if you start acquiescing to the board who want to get rid of people for saying having a hearty word against Rangers on a mobile phone. I mean, goodness me, I've got loads of mates who are Rangers fans. They'll laugh at it. You know what I mean? Would we be upset if a Rangers player had done that? It's just laughable. It's banter. You know what I mean?
I'd have a chuckle if they did that. I'd be like, "Good on you, you idiot!" How many times have we seen Scott Arfield do shit?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just scrolling through some more of these comments here. Michael Ross, I don't want anyone blaming the pitch. Big Dom saying this board has managed the rapid decline of our club since buying a year ago. John is
That's
saying morning.
stripping.
John saying he's just so pissed off with his team. John Cairns is saying we were so poor as the Huns. We were as poor as the Huns when they went broke and went from manager to players. Now what we have is the board fucking us simple. Yep. Just going through here. Yep, it was like an Aussie pitch, Andrew. 100%. A bit of a. Only thing was there wasn't a car park under it. And Stephen McGonigal saying about the pitches. Lisbon Lions played on worse for years. 100%. Michael Ross is saying league's over. And Steve McGonigal saying even if we win all 7, we might not win the league. We are 5 adrift. But then here we go. We're talking about it here. Just then Andrew Glue saying, I'm not sure we've actually got a system. We line up and improvise from there. And then Michael saying there's no guarantee we win the cup. And if that doesn't happen, far out. Those old barriers they put around the stadium in the COVID season, they're going to need another workout and then some. Not going to be a good place to be. And then McLaughlin saying O'Neill sprinkled as much magic dust as he can possibly muster. You can see he's deflated now. You could see it at the press conference. Big Dom. Guess the game looked just as terrible down under. Yep. So, yeah, we'll just go through here. And then why are they hoarding money? Well, we spoke on a few things before, but yeah, who the hell knows? So it's going to be a bit of a...
It's deflecting things. It's like, surely a man of Dermot Desmond's intellect, or the people who work for him, are going to see through that. You know, it's like we could have had double the 70 million or 80 million, or approaching that, had we been more progressive, had we taken, you know, that risk reward. You know, the amount of times that we haven't qualified for the Champions League or Europe over the past, even 5 years. So the money sitting in the bank, it papers over no cracks, because the skeletons, you know, are there for all to see. And the fact that this board, it's fascism, you know. Rather than sort of, if you cared about Celtic, you'd say, how do we do better? We're making mistakes here. How do we do better? But rather than that, they ban the people that criticise them. They ban the Green Brigade. They ban fan media. You know, they allow the mainstream media and the red tops carte blanche to do and say what they want and drive their own agenda. When fan media, for example, the things that we're doing now, we love the club. We're doing this for the love of it, you know. This is not for anything other than to talk about Celtic. And I want to be talking about Celtic with, you know, rose-tinted glasses. I want to be talking about Celtic with, you know, my heart and my soul elated because we're winning things and we're playing great football. Not to have a whinge about it and to be upset, because it ruins your week. Ruins your week to week, doesn't it? You know, and we're all the way over here and it's like, fuck, you know. The thing that you're most passionate about, apart from your family, and even then, you know, it might be, you know. But it's so it's it's mad how and it's not like other teams have, you know, really invested and they're coming up and, you know, we've had our time and, you know, you kind of like, you take it on the chin. This is self-inflicted, entirely self-inflicted, and so avoidable.
Yeah, 100%. Like, let's be honest, there's players out there who are copping an absolute hammering at the moment. Like, I've seen from last night's game, some people jumping in on young Colby Donovan. Like, what's he supposed to do? Is he the third string right back?
But he's still a professional footballer at Celtic, and he was culpable for the first goal. And you know, earlier on in the first half, again he was leaving people in acres of space. You know. Who's the guy that scored the goal again? I can't remember his name now. He was unmarked.
Ferry.
He was unmarked. Ferry, that was it. An absolute gift. I mean, it was like, that was so as amateur as it gets, that defending. Free in the box, and it was like there was no pressure. And it happened in the first half. They should have scored in the first half as well. And Sinisalo, as good as he's been, for the second goal, he was flat-footed. I know it was through a melee of players, but any keeper should be on his toes, especially when the ball's in and around the box.
Yeah, exactly. You got to think it's going to be ricochet of someone. But for me, I'm just looking at it. Like why I brought up Donovan is for me, I don't think he's ready to be our starting right back. And I said this a couple later last week or the week before. Next season, I would love it if I think it was last week. I said Rahel would have loved him to stay for another year. Alistair Johnson's back in training, so that shows where Colby's at on the list. Now Colby probably needs to go on loan next season within Scotland. That's where I'd send him, or off to Belgium. Be a good league for him to develop in. So he's at that point. So when I'm seeing people say he needs to leave the club, and there's other people saying, "Oh, we've got to get rid of Kelmac, we've got to get rid of Forrest, we've got to get rid of this and that," and there's a bunch of players, and I'm like, you do realise that, okay, it's not necessarily individual players at the moment, because we had this same conversation when it was under Lenny. For me, I look at it and go, this is symptomatic of a bigger issue at the club. The bigger issue is the board are hopeless. There's no proper recruitment going on. So we're still running Ange's team 5 years later. And now they're all 5 years older, and we're starting to wonder why their standards are dropping. They've played an extra 250-odd games since then. So I'm not making excuses, but guys like Kelmac should be getting rotated out for fresh legs. But where are those fresh legs in the squad? We haven't recruited them to be able to do that. Bernardo was supposed to be that player. Well, does he exist? Or is he just driving the bus to and from Lennoxtown every day? Who knows?
The thing is, Bernardo is like, he's a good player. What has happened to him? What has happened to that guy? I used to really like Bernardo, but I still do, nothing against him personally, but what has happened behind the scenes for him to go off a cliff like that? It's bizarre.
Exactly. So it's not like he's in an Odin Holmes situation where he's gone and got compartment syndrome and his shins and his career's in jeopardy because of it, so he can't play football. Like, I rated Home when we first signed him. I thought he was going to, when we'd send on loan for 6 to 12 months, do like a Christie loan up to Aberdeen or something like that. And then he'd be ready to come in and just mix it up and be that guy in our midfield. Never happened because of his issues. But you just look at it and there's no forward planning, there's no proper recruitment structure, and then you wonder why shit's going down the way it is, and some players are falling off a cliff because they're getting old and their legs are going. Like, Kelmac did a lot of running for Bruni in the last couple of years of his career, so now he needs someone to do his running for him. Yeah. Another thing we're missing is Arnie Engels. I don't care what anyone says. We are missing him more than anyone realises. That's some of those younger legs in the middle of the park. Like, ideally, he'd be playing it in year 6, and then you can put Kelmac in an 8 and just not be as reliant on him.
Yeah.
So there's a whole situation of things going on here. But if you look at everything not just on face value and you dig a little deeper, it all comes back to one of three things. It's either shit coaching, shit recruitment, or lack of spending by the club. All of them are our own faults.
Yeah, it's all of those things as well. they all could be true at the same time, and they are.
Andrew Galea is saying here, it's been shit all season. Rogers was spitting the dummy in pre-season. I don't blame him. Pegleg Lonergan is saying there needs to be a completely independent review of the football operations at the club. I'm not talking about buddies of Dermot Desmond. A fully paid up professional review is required. As if the board would allow someone to come in and, go ruthless against them and tell them that they've actually done something wrong. Last time someone tried to do that, he lasted 80-something days at the club in Don Mackay.
Yep.
Willie is saying the malaise has infected everyone and it's time for a seismic overhaul. And Robert Gibson, 100%. Engels becomes a rock star in absentia. I think between no Engels and no Alistair Johnson, and probably Carter Vickers as well, you put those three into this lineup, makes a massive difference. Simon's saying here, Ian, does anyone expect any of these issues to be rectified? Well, what do you think?
Not with those guys are in situ. It needs an absolute change. I hope Desmond sells. He reckons he won't, but he needs to go, and it is cronyism. Look at Nicholson has now brought in some guy that he went to school with. By all accounts, the guys have died in the wool Celtic man, and I know a couple of people who know this guy, the Heineken guy. and he's partly he's really steeped in Celtic and all that kind of stuff. But it is nepotism, and it's like surely you can cast your net a bit wider, and going out and try and find people. At least it's like the job you do. I'm sure you go out for quotes. You go out in my job. If you go out for a quote, you don't go just for one quote. You go for 3 quotes and you compare them, right? So you're not if you're going to bring in someone, hire somebody, don't just go for someone you know. All right, have him in the mix, but go out and find 2 or 3 more people and compare them. Do these people? Does this person bring what we need? It's nepotism. And Dermot Desmond, again, when we hear the Robbie Keane linked, I don't know how true it is, but the Irish connection and stuff like that. Obviously we're a massive Irish diaspora. I'm of Irish descent. Like that. It's just so small-minded and so parochial. And it's dragged the club so far down, it's unbelievable, and don't get me started on the stadium, that's going to fall down in the next 5 years.
So, talking about the board, Ian, realistically, we should be bringing in the old CEO from Leicester, who was up the road having a look at things. She's good at stuff, she knows her things. Bring her in. You can bring in the Heineken guy, I got no problem with it. You need to refresh your board, and if these people, either of them come in and they've got the right runs on the board, the right experience, whether it's in football or in business, great, bring them in, refresh, get some people out. But at the same time, you're spot on, we should be bringing in more. Something that I've thought for a while is we should be targeting the Japanese market. How many Japanese players have we had? How well has that been for us? We should be looking for sponsors over there. If we had someone on our board who was Japanese, just throwing a random idea out there, maybe someone from Kawasaki or Mitsubishi or plenty of big companies over there. Kintetsu, just throwing a bunch of them out there. Get someone from one of those sort of companies, if they're interested, come on our board. Guess what? Suddenly they open up a market to you, and they're not a patsy because they're outside the circle, but they would want the club to be doing well because there's Japanese players there.
Yeah.
So
but that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, though, is it? That's what they could do or should do, but they will not. They'll just keep doing what they do. And how far down do we have to go? How many seasons without a title do we have to go? And it's like, as I say, you could take it on the chin. If our rivals had risen up and got loads better and got close to us, you take it on the chin. You go, you know what? Fair play. But it's not. They've taken us backwards, and it's like it looks like it's on purpose.
All the talk was of the 49ers coming in and all the investment, and they've invested about, almost 40 million this season into that squad, and they're only 2 points better than us, and we're having one of our worst seasons in over a decade, maybe 2 decades, and they're only 2 points better than us, and they've put 40 million into their squad. So ideally, if we strengthen properly, we'd still be light years ahead of them.
But we should be. They're 15 years old. It's a Phoenix club, 15 years old, and it's like, but I don't think they were planning on winning the league this year. I think this is because we are so bad, it's accelerated that. I think they were gearing themselves up for next year because they will get the house in order. These guys, clearly know what they're doing in other sporting environments. So it's not good news for us. And I think they'll invest in the stadium. I think they'll do all the things that we should have done.
Well, I'll be honest with you, like talking about not just them, they'll invest and they'll do up their stadium a bit, but even looking at Hearts, they're putting their money into it. Tony Bloom's involved there now. From that meeting that I got to sit in and everything, his plan, it's in the record that he wanted to build Hearts up over a 5 to 10 year period to win the title. He wasn't expecting to be a chance to win it in year 1 or year 2 or whatever it is now with him involved. So they're miles ahead of what they were thinking. But that's because we've been so shit this year.
Yeah, but it's been coming for a while. I think because we've not had a challenge, we've gone soft, and yeah, just expecting to turn up and just almost phone it in sometimes. Brendan Rodgers, his second time he came back, it took him a good 6 months to to sort of, I suppose, get the team more on his image and away from Ange's. Because remember the drop off that Ange had as well after it looked like Ange had been showing his knickers to Tottenham and stuff. Before the cup final and after we won the league, was a massive drop off, and then obviously Ange went, and then Brendan came in. So there was a 6 month kind of a simulation period there. But we've been stuttering for years, really. I think Brendan's second season we started to purr, but his third season the wheels always usually come off. Did it the last time he was at Celtic, did it at Leicester, did it at Liverpool. So we've not been, we showed signs of it obviously under Brendan when we, and everyone keeps quoting the Bayern Munich game, but that was kind of where we could have gone, and if we'd added to that team rather than dismantled it and asset stripped it, we could have been moving. And it was a sliding doors moment, and why the board didn't seize that opportunity, even though it was papering over cracks, they could have seized that opportunity and added to a direction that we were heading in.
Let's be honest, Dan. That same situation, if a Salzburg or a Club Brugge or a Bodo Glimt were in that situation, they would have been all in at it.
Yeah.
And that's what Brugge's done. Like, they've been in the Champions League now for having 7 straight seasons. They've brought in, on top of their transfers and Champions League money, they've brought in the best part of $500 million to that club. So if you look at it this way and go, if you're constantly spending and you're constantly qualifying, you got that squad, and then you're like, all right, well, if we bring in another quality striker to replace Kyogo, we spend 10 million on another striker to replace Kyogo. Where are we weak at the back? Okay, we need a left back. Greg Taylor's getting absolutely slaughtered in Europe. Cool. Let's spend another 7 million on a quality left back. Let's think of it like that, right? 17 million spent, done. You offset that anyway by selling Kun. So it's a zero-sum game here, really, in terms of the money in the bank. You've strengthened 2 positions to compete in Europe. Then if you sell Kun, then you just bring in someone else for another 10 million in that position as well. Your net spends, 9 million. It's not like we're making money every year, but you'll make that up on shirt sales. You'll make that up on getting in the Champions League straight away. That's 7 million is what, 2 wins in the Champions League. That's it. So if we get in there and do that every year, we're flying. And then you're strengthening your squad, and your squad gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and your average spend per player is, and instead of getting these $2 million bargain bin players that we're getting all the time, your now baseline minimum is 5 million or 6 million, which is your Jota, your CCV spend. Then you're shopping in that 5 to 10 to 12 million range every transfer. You're bringing in 1 or 2 of them. You're selling one of your other players for double that. You're flying, you get stronger, and then that's how Brugge has done what they've done. Bodo Glimt's gone a bit different in terms of the spending, but they've done it through selling players and then bringing them back if they've failed elsewhere or it hasn't settled for them, and then keep having a structure across the club. So it can be done. Our board saw it and was like, it's like they got too high up there. They climbed a tree too high and they got a nosebleed, so they, shit their pants and fell out of the tree.
Well, you look at Mackay's, apparently his directive is to reduce the wage bill. Now, he's doing that, fair enough, he is reducing the wage bill, but what about, getting rid of the wages of all the players that are not contributing? The shit players that we signed, Balikwisha, signed for, what, 5 million, 6 million, he's got a 5-year contract. He's probably one of the best players, best paid in the club with a deal like that. Why not offload these guys who are not contributing, rather than going and getting rid of a Kun or a Kyogo, to balance the books? It's their ineptitude that the wage bill is so high. You don't do that and then go, oh, we're gonna do as a favour. We're gonna get rid of it, to balance the books so we don't get into jeopardy.
And that's exactly what happened last time after the COVID season. How long did it take us to get rid of Barkas? We had to loan him out for a couple of years until his contract was up, or someone bought him for a snap-down fee in the last year of his deal. Ayeti, same deal. You buy the wrong players, you give them big wages, you got to get rid of the ones who aren't helping. Yeah. And we had a look at it earlier in the season, and I think there's about £170,000 a week at Celtic. Just sitting there. Because there's no reserve team. These are guys on the bench, guys who are injured, or guys who are out on loan that we're getting nothing from. Free that up, Mackay. That's where your issue is. Sort it out. But anyway,
Or Mackay leave because you're inept at the deals that you're doing. Um, that's another another potential way to save money. Get someone else who knows what they're doing, and we don't lose the money that we're losing.
Andrew Galea is onto something. Maybe the board is saving fuel money. Yeah, well, they're not bringing anyone in on a transfer, so they don't have to pay for anyone to travel. There you go. Gabby Boy is saying, Paul John Dykes was saying yesterday he's keeping his powder dry. We won't believe what the club is up to once he tells. I've spoken to Paul about it off air. I know pretty much what he's saying, and yeah, it's pretty bad out there, let's be honest. Yeah, so it's one of them for me, Ian, where I just look at it and go, there's heaps going wrong at the club. There's heaps that need to change. Root cause, we all know where it sits, and it's fucking frustrating. Let's be honest.
People will start to fall away. The longer they're in situ, people will start to fall away, and naturally, I feel so pissed off. I'll probably just going to start watching Liverpool until these people leave my club. I detest the association. It's got so bad. I detest the association. These people they've just brought just such a bad negative vibe to the team and the club. They don't deserve to be anywhere around a football club. Just not good enough.
Yep, 100%. So I'm looking at it now. Next game, we've got the international break. So it's always the way, isn't it? We go into international break off the back early in the season, off the back of a derby, Glasgow derby, which if it doesn't go our way is always a bit of a doozy. And this time now we're going into it off the back of a 2-0 loss at Tannadice. Like, our next game's not till, what's that, Easter Monday for us over here, Easter Sunday over there. It's going to be a bit of a doozy. So, yeah, no games now until the 5th of April. So, yeah, with that in mind, Ian, are you going to watch any international football while the break's on, or are you just going to have a break, switch off for a week like I'm planning on doing?
I don't know. I think the All Whites are playing some games. My son was saying he wanted to go and see some of those, so I might go and do that.
Go talk to Elijah Just while you're there and tell him to sign and get up the, what is it, the M74 or something like that. Probably got the freeway completely wrong.
No, it's across the M8.
Yeah, whichever one it is, get up the road.
The 74, yeah, the 74, and then the M8, yeah. The 74's goes past Motherwell, yeah.
Tell him to get up there, get up that road and head on into Glasgow and bring his gaffer over there with him.
I want Kevin. I'd rather have Kevin Muscat than Askew. He's not done enough.
In terms of, okay, so let's dive into this for a second, Ian, because, all right, they're both very different managers, okay?
Yeah.
I like Askew. I like the way his team plays. I like the cut of his jib when he talks and all this. He knows his stuff. He's just a football encyclopedic brain, right? This guy is like unreal. I like him. Okay, I like what his team's about. I just feel that if you were to bring him into Celtic right now with the back-of-house bullshit that's going on, is he going to be running the risk of turning himself into another Wilfred Nancy?
Yeah, I think he will.
That is what my concern with him is. I think he's a quality manager. I think he could do the job at Celtic and be really good at it. But knowing Kevin Muscat, knowing his family, having met Kevin, spoken to him quite a few times, having met his son, that sort of stuff, and knowing how that family is, Kev's a fighter. He'll come in, he's calmed down a lot since his playing days, but he's not afraid to give a player a bollocking. He's not afraid to blast someone. But his teams play really like good technical football with a hard edge.
Yeah.
And Kev likes having big players. So when I look at us versus Rangers in the derby, I look at them and go, they just look bigger at every position. Muscat, if he come in here and he would know which players he'd want to bring in, which players are doing well in Japan, in China, in Korea, because of that knowledge, and in Australia, he'd have that knowledge base coming with him. I think he'd be smart enough to look at, I mentioned him last week on here. There's only probably one player in the A-League this season that I would think could do the job at Celtic, and that's Eli Adams from Newcastle Jets. A lot of people, I know people have told me that I'm wrong with him, but he's a 6-foot right winger, 24 years old, and this guy is quick, fast, and he gets in there and he doesn't mind clattering people as well as, beating a man. So, and if you're going to play a pressing game, which Kev's teams play, he would fit that mold perfect. So for me, looking at that, him, maybe Josh Rowlands at Melbourne Victory as a right back would be an option, but I think Rowlands gone somewhere else anyway. So looking at it going, Muscat could bring players in to play a system, but he would set a system up and he would get that size that we need in the middle of the park. He'd get our setup. There you go, Robert. Finally, someone's agreed with me. Eli Adams would walk into the current team. Yeah, 100% he would. So I think the perfect situation would be Muscat, as you said, Ian, for this current place in time, to come in and do a similar job that what Ange did, come in off the back of an absolute shambolic season and rebuild and everything from the go. Someone who's used to working on a salary cap, someone who's used to working on a budget and can build teams and always has a good culture there. I think Muscat would be the perfect appointment right at this point in time.
I agree. And I was really glad that Rangers didn't get him because I was worried. If they got him, I think he would have been really, really good. He'd have been much better than the guy they've got now.
We'd be 15 points behind him if Muscat was their manager.
Yeah, we probably would be. Now, I think the added bonus would be that he's got something to stick one in the eye to Rangers for rejecting him. Whether he come to us, he might be dyed in the wool Rangers and not want to come to us. You never know. But assuming that he would come to Celtic, I think he'd be the perfect appointment. And my wife always says right for right now. It's a saying she says this is right for right now. He is right for right now.
Oh, well, Ian, would he come to Celtic? I can give you an exact quote if you want.
Okay, go on then.
From a family member of his who I spoke to last week. It'd be dumb not to take that job.
But
that's from a family member.
Yeah, but would he take it? It's not from him, though.
I know for a fact he would.
Oh, right, okay.
I know he would. He wants to go back to Europe once his contract's up in China. Yeah. He wants that next step in there. And so let's bring up some comments here. Brendan McCarthy. Oh, boys, I think under a whole board, Muscat would be a good shout. Robert Gibson is saying, where is it? Hit that button twice there. Muscat would scare the shit out of our board. Personally, I think he's a giant Hun and a prick to boot. Well, giant Hun, he was there for, he's paid like 17 minutes of football for him. Don't worry about that part. But he's a prick. I love it. And Andrew Galea, about my comment before, Eli Adams can hit a ball too. There you go, get him in. So, yeah, I just look at it going, I think that's the right sort of scenario there. International football, I don't think I'll be watching too much of the Socceroos. Not really a massive fan of international football in general. However, we do have a pretty atrocious Socceroos home kit that I love. It is just like zigzags and ridiculous. It's great. So I might watch it. Who knows? But yeah, it'll be a interesting one. I just hope none of the Celtic boys going out there get injured. That's pretty much it at the end of the day.
Oh, fair enough. Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the World Cup, but I've got a feeling that Steve Clark will do what he did in the Euros and play with a handbrake on. If we'd gone for it, like we're Scotland, you got to go for it. And I think Steve Clark, he's just too pragmatic. He worked under Jose Mourinho. There's a bit of that kind of pragmatism. So Scotland's a bit of a Marmite kind of watch for me.
Fair enough. was on the train on the way home from work today, and these two blokes just walk on it. Of all stations, Tottenham, wearing the Scotland shirts, and I'm like, okay, there you go. So good fun. Anyway, I think we'll start to wrap the pod up there, Ian. I think we've covered off the majority of everything. We've got some comments here. Michael Ross is saying it won't be Muscat. Willie's saying no on this board will end up with a Jack Ross or Steve Clark. God, I hope not. Or what's the other bloke's name? That was at Everton faces Roberto Martinez.
Oh, I don't want him either.
Yeah. I'd rather Bruni than those three. There you go, it's saying it. And it's probably way too early for Bruni, but yeah. But yeah, I think final thoughts to finish the pod. You got anything for us?
Yeah, like I said before, it's now shit or bust. So go 4-4-2, get two up front, and just get down and dirty and just go for it. Just ruffle teams' feathers. Get the ball as forward as quickly as possible. Get the ball in the box as much as possible. You know, toughen up and just go for it. And I think, you know, we're not going to win the league, I don't think, but we'll definitely have a say in it. And yeah, the board should go for Kevin Muscat. That's two final thoughts.
My final thoughts, fine. I'll have two as well then. Number one, personal thing. During the international break, my sister and her kids are making a big move for work, and that they're moving overseas somewhere. So enjoy your move and everything, and hope everything goes to plan. And second thing, I thought you'd like this one, Ian, because we're talking about the money in the bank and everything that we've got. I was going to I contemplated naming the podcast Dire Straits, or you know, like a Money for Nothing. I was going to go Money for No One. That's what I was going to name it, because I knew we'd get into it. But you know, a bit of a music pun's always a good thing. So anyway,
You just know that Nicholson and Mackay listen to Dire Straits.
I reckon they do 100%. So yeah, good fun. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Hit the like button, helps us with the YouTube algorithm and all that stuff. And yeah, hail, hail.